Okay, I don't really understand why I'm doing this right now. I'm gonna be honest. Actually, yes, I kind of did. Let me backtrack. Sometimes my brain goes way faster than my mouth, so I have to slow myself down. What it was is I was talking to several people this morning, and I came to an awareness of myself that I don't necessarily have the same struggles as maybe some other people do because of my gifts given to me. And this is going to sound super crazy because a lot of people are going to look back at their experiences through life, like isolation, abuse, trauma, being told to be seen and not heard, and, all those things. They're going to look back at that and they're going to see them in a negative view. And a lot of the people I'm talking to right now, I mean, my heart, I feel you so much because I know what it's like. I know what it's like to look back and wonder, why couldn't your parents just love you? Why couldn't they be kind? Why did no one ever step in and say, look, man, your kid is suffering. Why don't you give her a hug instead of letting her play outside alone in the bush by herself for 6 hours? But for me, I quickly learned that all of those things were gifts. And I think because of my connection to Gaia or Mother Earth, I never viewed my isolation or alone time in the woods as a bad thing. I mean, those were the most peaceful and wonderful times of my life as a kid, was being in Mother Nature's arms, basically. Going home was terrifying. And as I was going through my trauma recovery, I quickly started to realize that my body would have visceral reactions because I ended up having to move back to the place I had been abused in as a kid with my current abuser of that time. He was abusing my kids and me. And I would go on these big long walks because it was the only time I could find peace in my dysregulation. And on the way back, walking back home, I had reached a point where I literally would have to fight flashbacks off walking back to my house when I'd finally started to remember some of the things that had been done to me, the things that I'd suppressed. So it was intense. And then so once I started making the connections, I started to realize how much I enjoyed being outside. And so I guess for me, a lot of the things that people would see as a negative, like the isolation, the no friends, the being, left to my own devices for copious amounts of hours unattended at a very small age. I was parentified a lot, right? But I didn't see those as a negative. So when it came to letting go of my story and changing my pain to power, it came quite naturally for me because I already had good emotions, like good feelings attached to some of it in certain ways. And I'm an oddly weird person where I just tend to find the good in everything. Which, by the way, can be a flaw because it would be to the point where I'd be so deeply trying to find the good in somebody that I would let them hurt me and hurt me and hurt me and hurt me, right? Because I'm like, there's got to be good in you. I can see it. I know it's there. But the reality of it is no matter how nice you are to some people, they're not going to be able to let their goodness out. They're just not going to. They have their own trauma. They have their own issues. They have their own shit. So, you can love somebody all you want, but if you don't set that boundary, and this is my boundary, I always tell my kids this, you give until it hurts. If it starts to hurt, you're giving too much. You need to stop. And you can say, look, I don't got anything to give right now. And as a mom, that can be really hard to do, especially when you're going through trauma recovery, right? Because some days I had zero capacity. I mean, like zero. And I was still living with an abusive person who abused me regularly and hurt my kids. And so I was trying to protect my kids. I was trying to protect myself. I was trying to hide and escape. And honestly, it was so much for me that it was all I could do some days to just get up. That was all I had. And so for me to give myself space and grace, that was way harder for me than letting go of my story or embracing my power, because I had a really shitty self-image. I mean, by the time I was 8 years old, I'd been screamed at. I was a whore. I was going to work the streets. I was always going to be stupid. I was so lazy. I mean, I got 3 to 4 hour lectures on a weekly basis of what a piece of shit I was, right? And that's like from when I was a wee little person. I was being intentionally programmed at that point, though, because people were trying to hide what they were doing to me. Trauma is great at making kids hide shit. Anyways, that's not the point of this. The point was that I can see how people are struggling. I can see how people are having a hard time looking back at their past and seeing how these horrible experiences actually become your power, become your strength. So I just wanted to touch on that really quickly because I really feel you guys. Like, I can't even express to you how much I feel you. I know the pain. I know the pain so well. But I want to share some things with you as an example, okay? As an empathic person, as an intuitive person, I now have learned that my hyper awareness, where like I can hear cars 6 blocks away and like specifically tune into one engine, or my cat ears pick up my kids whispering on the other side of the house magically somehow. These little things have slowly taught me how to read a situation, read a room, read a people. And I learned very quickly if it's somewhere I want to be, or if I need to protect myself, or if I need to just maybe, take a step back and run away, because sometimes that happens. But it also shows me when somebody needs help. And it's kind of cool. Like, so the other day I was at the grocery store, and right now I'm on like this huge mission where I'm trying to encourage women to love women and show more compassion to each other, because in this patriarchal society, it's been massively suppressed, where women are not supposed to show kindness and compassion and love for each other. We're supposed to, judge each other and compete with each other and be like, nah, you're prettier than me. Okay. Anyways, so I was at the grocery store, and this poor young lady was behind the till, and I don't know what was going on in her life. I have no idea, but like I could totally instantly, just the small little micro things on her face, right? And she was trying to be poised, but I could tell she was having a bad day. And so I got up to the till and I'm like, hey. And she's like, hi, how are you? And I'm like, I'm good. I'm like, having a day? And that's all I said. I was like, having a day? And she just kind of looked at me, and I smiled, right? And made eye contact. And she says, she had this big sigh. And she actually you could tell she released some of the tension. And so then I just started talking normal, because I'm kind of loopy that way. And, I had all these gift cards somebody had given me, which I needed to use. They came in handy. Thank you, universe. So anyways, I had all these gift cards. And so she was having a hard time getting technology to work for her, technology, right? And I live in a very small town. So it's one of those things where I feel like we're 10 years behind everybody else where I am, because the technology's old, everything, even like our style here is like 10 years behind Toronto. I feel like we're always out of date. Small towns. So she was having a hard time getting the gift cards to work. But it was interesting because I had approached her with compassion and gave her some space and grace to just have her moment and be herself without having to pretend. The whole thing shifted. So even though she was struggling and the cards wouldn't scan and she had to get help, the lineup behind me, by the time I left, everyone was laughing and giggling and giving her support. And all I could think to myself was, wow, all it took was me just saying, hey, and smiling and asking, hey, having a day? She didn't have to tell me what it was about. She didn't have to tell me what was going on in her life. She just had to know that somebody heard and saw her and accepted it without judgment and love. And so here's what I want you to do for you. Instead of thinking about all the things that you didn't get as a child, because you can give those things to yourself now, okay? So what? Who they didn't give to you as a child? So what? That was you as a child, okay? That's over. You can't change the past. But what you can do is do all those compassion and loving things for yourself that you didn't get from the people you wanted, right? So if you feel like you didn't get enough hugs, grab a pillow, hug a pillow. It helps. I like pillows. I have pillows all the time. Or puppies. Puppies are good too. I like dogs. Kids kind of, but they can squirm. Sometimes they bite. Maybe those are just my kids. Yeah, I let my kids be wild. It's okay. But yeah, treat yourself the way you wanted to be treated. It's time to love you. Okay? That's all I got. Have a great day, guys.